Have you ever given your love and kindness to others, only to feel hurt when it wasn't returned? We often give so much, yet expect others to love us in the same way. But what if the key to lasting peace and happiness doesn't come from others at all? What if it's all about how we love ourselves? Welcome to the Motivation Zone at Freedom. Today, we're diving into one of Buddha's most powerful teachings. You yourself, as much as anybody in the entire universe, deserve your love and affection. In a world where we constantly seek validation and approval from those around us, we often forget the most important person to love, ourselves. But true happiness, peace, and fulfillment start from within. In this video, we'll explore the importance of self-compassion and how freeing ourselves from expectations can bring us the inner peace we've been searching for. Love is often like a delicate plant, growing and blooming when we nurture it, but too often we plant it in the soil of our desires, hoping it will blossom into something that others will return. We give love based on our own wishes and the hope of validation, expecting that those around us, society, family, friends will water the seeds we've planted with affection, recognition, and approval. It's like sending out a message in a bottle, hoping that the waves will carry it back to us in the form we desire. However, the reality of love doesn't always match the fantasy we've built around it. Expectations are like fragile threads spun from our hopes and dreams that we weave into the fabric of our relationships. We stretch them out to others, hoping they will hold firm, but often they snap under the weight of unmet desires.
When society or loved ones don't respond the way we expect, it can feel like waiting for rain during a drought, our hearts left parched, craving the water of love that never falls in the way we anticipated. This disconnect between expectation and reality is the root of much of our suffering. When we attach our happiness to external sources, it's like placing our joy on a ship sailing in unpredictable seas. We have no control over the weather, and when the tides shift unexpectedly, we are left tossed around, helpless. By looking to others for the validation and love we crave, we set ourselves up for disappointment because we can't control how or when others will respond. This constant cycle of giving love and waiting for it in return often leaves us feeling emotionally drained, like a well that's been tapped dry. To find true peace, we must stop relying on the ebb and flow of others' affections. Instead, we need to look within, like a tree rooted firmly in the ground, drawing strength from the earth beneath us. When we love ourselves first, we no longer depend on others to fill our cup, and our happiness becomes as steady as the rhythm of the seasons. Self-love, as Buddha teaches, is like the foundation of a sturdy house. Without it, nothing else can stand firm. We often pour our energy into caring for others, thinking that love is something to be given away. But Buddha's message reminds us that we deserve love and affection just as much as anyone else in the universe. It's not selfish to love ourselves. It's essential for our well-being. Think of self-love as the roots of a tree, strong and deep, nourishing the rest of our lives. Without these roots, the tree cannot grow or thrive. By recognizing that we are worthy of love, we build the strength to face life's challenges with grace and resilience. True peace comes from self-acceptance, like the calm of a clear lake, untouched by the winds of others' opinions. When we love ourselves unconditionally, we stop seeking validation from the outside world. It's like having a mirror that reflects our true self, without the distortion of others' judgments or expectations. No longer do we depend on the approval of others to feel good about who we are. Our sense of worth becomes as steady as the earth beneath our feet, unshaken by the temporary tides of praise or criticism from the outside world. When we begin to nurture self-love, it's like tending to a garden. We water it, feed it, and give it sunlight, and in return, it grows into something beautiful and vibrant. Loving ourselves means understanding that our happiness doesn't depend on anyone else's treatment of us, it comes from within. Just as a flower doesn't need another flower's approval to bloom, we don't need others' validation to be worthy of love and happiness.
True love begins within us, and when we nurture this inner love, we create a sense of peace and fulfillment that isn't dependent on the unpredictable nature of others. By shifting our focus from looking outward to looking inward, we stop relying on others to fill the empty spaces within us. Instead, we find that we are already whole. This is the power of self-love. It doesn't need to be earned or proven because it's always been there, waiting for us to recognize it. When we love ourselves first, we stop searching for love in places where it may never be found, and we become the source of our own peace and happiness. Acting with love and kindness, as Buddha teaches, is like planting seeds in a garden, not knowing exactly when they will bloom or how they will grow, but trusting that they will bring something beautiful into the world. When we fulfill our responsibilities and duties with genuine care, without expecting anything in return, we create a ripple effect of positivity. It's like the gentle touch of a pebble dropped into a still pond. The impact spreads far and wide, even if we can't see it immediately. We perform acts of kindness and love not because we expect recognition or reward, but because it's part of who we are, like a tree naturally producing fruit, regardless of whether anyone picks it. Selfless giving is the antidote to the pain of unmet expectations. When we offer love, help, or kindness freely, without the hope of anything coming back to us, it's like giving a gift and walking away, not expecting the recipient to return it. The joy comes not from receiving, but from the act of giving itself. When we stop tying our actions to the desire for praise or acknowledgement, we free ourselves from the constant cycle of needing others to validate our worth. It's like releasing a bird into the sky once we let go. We no longer hold on, and the gift we've given soars freely, unburdened by our expectations. Living without expectations is one of the most powerful ways to find peace. Think of expectations as heavy luggage we carry around, weighed down with the hope of things going a certain way. When we let go of these expectations, it's like setting down that luggage and walking forward without any burden. We no longer need things to unfold in a specific manner because we are content with whatever comes. This freedom allows us to live more fully in the present moment, enjoying the journey rather than constantly looking for a destination. By letting go of expectations in our actions, we stop allowing them to dictate our emotional state. Instead of feeling disappointment when things don't go as planned, we accept whatever comes with open arms, knowing that life is not about controlling outcomes, but embracing them with grace and wisdom.
By acting without expectation and offering love freely, we create a life that flows with ease. Like a river that moves effortlessly through the landscape, our actions become a natural expression of who we are, without the need for external validation. This selfless approach to life helps us live with a deeper sense of peace, because we are no longer at the mercy of our desires and disappointments. We find fulfillment not in the outcomes, but in the purity of our intentions and the love we share. Awareness of expectations is the first step toward freedom. It's like noticing a cloud forming on the horizon before it becomes a storm. You recognize it, and you have the opportunity to prepare for it. In our daily lives, expectations can arise quietly, like a whisper in the back of our minds, often unnoticed until they stir feelings of frustration or disappointment. Mindfulness helps us catch these expectations before they grow too strong. When we become aware of them, we can pause and examine them, like a gardener noticing weeds in the soil before they overrun the plants. By recognizing when expectations arise, we gain the power to release them rather than let them control our emotions and reactions. Acceptance is the key to unlocking inner peace. Think of it as letting go of a tight grip on a rope. We no longer struggle against what is, but instead, allow life to flow naturally. When we accept things as they are, we stop resisting the present moment and stop fighting against reality. Just like a river flowing around rocks, acceptance allows us to move with the current of life, rather than trying to force things into place. We don't waste energy fighting against what we can't control. Instead, we embrace what is, understanding that life's natural course is not something to fight against but something to harmonize with. By letting go of expectations, we release the burden of trying to control outcomes, and in return, we find emotional freedom. Living in the present is where true peace resides. It's like standing in the eye of a storm. Everything around us may be chaotic, but in the center, there is calm and clarity. When we focus on the present moment, We stop worrying about what might happen in the future or regretting what happened in the past. Life becomes a flow, like the steady rhythm of a heartbeat, each moment unfolding as it is, without the pressure of expectation. When we stop attaching ourselves to outcomes and simply live in the moment, we begin to experience life more fully, appreciating each step along the way rather than obsessing over where it's leading. By staying present and accepting life as it comes, we create space for joy, peace, and acceptance to flourish in our hearts.
The power of mindfulness and acceptance is transformative. It's like learning to dance with the rhythm of life, not forcing every step, but allowing it to guide us. When we accept the present moment without judgment or expectation, we become more attuned to the beauty and peace already within us. And in doing so, we free ourselves from the constant cycle of desire and disappointment. As we wrap up, let's recap the key points. Self-love is the foundation of inner peace. It's through loving ourselves unconditionally that we unlock the ability to share that love freely with others. When we stop seeking validation from the world around us and begin to honor and accept ourselves for who we are, we pave the true path to lasting peace and happiness. By nurturing our own worth and embracing the present moment, we create a life filled with joy, fulfillment, and harmony. So remember, when we stop looking for approval from others and start loving ourselves from within, we open the door to a life where peace and happiness are not dependent on external circumstances. Self-love truly is the key to freedom. I encourage you to take a moment to reflect on your own self-love practices. How can you begin to nurture yourself more deeply today? Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear how you're embracing mindfulness and self-compassion in your life. Thank you so much for joining me today as we explored the power of self-love through Buddha's wisdom. May you find peace within yourself, and may you continue to live with compassion and love for all beings. This is the Motivation Zone at Freedom. Stay mindful, stay compassionate, and take care of yourself.